Millions have visited the golden domed shrine of the Bab on Mount Carmel. They admire its beauty. They pray within its walls. Yet how often do we pause and ask, where did it all begin?
More than 100 years ago, in 1891, Baha'u'llah stood upon this very mountain and revealed the Tablet of Carmel, a charter that would one day shape the spiritual and administrative heart of the Baha'i world.
In the mighty tablet, he entrusted Abdu'l-Baha with the sacred mission of building the resting place of the Shrine of the Bab here on Mount Carmel.
But the path to fulfilling this mission was anything but simple.
For nearly 60 years, the sacred remains of the Bab were concealed in utmost secrecy, carried across mountains, deserts, from one hiding place to another.
They were sheltered in the homes of devoted believers, protected their very life, and guarded it with unshakable faith.
Each step of that journey was marked by sacrifice and love, until at last the precious casket reached the Holy Land under the protection of Abdu'l-Baha.
At last, the journey reached its end. On the very spot that Baha'u'llah had pointed out, Abdu'l-Baha began to build.
Out of the stone of this land, he raised the modest 6-room mausoleum, simple in its form, yet eternal in its purpose.
And then, on the evening of the 21st of March, 1909, after decades of secrecy, sacrifice, and struggle, the sacred remains of the Bab were finally laid to rest.
With tears in his eyes, Abdu'l-Baha lowered the casket into the earth with his own hands. And he said, "The most joyful tidings is this, that the holy, the luminous body of the Bab, after a period of 60 years, has been transferred from its place of concealment to the exalted mountain of God."
That moment, the fulfillment of Baha'u'llah's vision through the sacrifice of Abdu'l-Baha, was the beginning of what would one day become one of the most majestic sanctuaries on earth, the Shrine of the Bab.
After the passing of Abdu'l-Baha in 1921, his own sacred remains were laid to rest in one of the rooms within the Shrine of the Bab.
From that moment, the guardian, Shoghi Effendi, carried forward the vision set in motion by Baha'u'llah and Abdu'l-Baha.
One day in 1942, as Shoghi Effendi was returning from Mount Carmel, he asked Huye Khanum a simple question. "What are the ideal dimensions of a staircase?" "Surprised," she replied. "Why don't you ask one of the greatest architects from Canada, William Sutherland Maxwell, who, after all, is living just across the street in the Pilgrim House?"
The small conversation marked the beginning of an extraordinary collaboration. Under the guardian's vision and guidance, and with me Maxwell's artistry, the plans for the shrine's superstructure began to unfold.
The alchemy between the guardian and William Maxwell was unlike anything ordinary. Huye Khanum described their working together like a knife. Maxwell was the handle, perfectly fitted into the palm of the guardian, allowing him to bring the design to life, while Shoghi Effendi was a sharp blade, supremely confident, infallible, and clear in his vision. On the 25th of December 1943, the design of the shrine was approved, a milestone born of vision and collaboration.
It is worth noting that the shrine was not simply designed. It was carved out of the consultation, sacrifice, and relentless pursuit of beauty worthy of the Bab.
But even with the design at hand, the years that followed were anything but easy. The world was gripped with war, resources were scarce, and the very idea of raising such a structure on Mount Carmel seemed very impossible. Yet, though with the guardian's vision, what might have been obstacles became signs of divine assistance through supplication at the Holy Shrine.
Aside from William Maxwell, many more dedicated souls arose to serve and played a vital role in the construction process. One of those many souls was Dr. Ugo Gaiacchi from Italy, who was entrusted with finding the finest stone in all of Europe at a time when shortages and political unrest made such a task nearly impossible. By sheer perseverance, he secured the Champo stone for the arches and rose granite for the colonnades. Each piece was cut in Italy, shipped across the seas, and carried to Haifa.
Due to limited resources, the Guardian wisely divided the project into successive stages, with the work beginning with the colonnade, the circle of rose granite columns that would one day support the dome.
And then, in 1949, a moment of history. Shoghi Effendi himself laid the first threshold stone of the shrine's superstructure. It was a turning point. From that single stone, the vision of the shrine began to rise, one stage at a time, sustained by sacrifice and guided by the Guardian's unshakable clarity.
And by 1953, the years of perseverance, the tireless effort of devoted souls, and the sacrificial contributions of believers across the globe, the superstructure was complete. Rising above the colonnade, crowned with its golden dome, the shrine became a beacon of light on Mount Carmel, a symbol of beauty, unity, and eternal triumph of faith, as envisioned by Baha'u'llah.
But the story did not end there. Decades later, under the guidance of the Universal House of Justice, a new chapter unfolded. The construction of the terraces of the Shrine of the Ba.
19 terraces envisioned by Abdul Baha and brought to life at the turn of the new century will extend from the foot of Mount Carmel to its crest, embracing the shrine in a garden of light and beauty.
The work began in the 1990s. It was vast, complex, and required the collaboration of believers and professionals from every continent, and yet, like the shrine before it, the project was powered not by government or kings, but by the sacrificial contributions of ordinary Baha'is around the globe.
And then, on the 22nd of May 2001, the terraces were inaugurated. On that night, the mountain shone like never before. The glowing stairs cascading down the slope like a river of stars. For those present, it was not just a moment of beauty. It was a fulfillment of a prophecy, a testament to unity and a gift to all humanity.
Now we find ourselves inheritors of the gift of this very mountain, the mountain where Baha'u'llah walked,
Where Abdul Baha built,
where Shoghi Effendi raised the dome,
and where the Universal House of Justice brought forth the terraces.
This place has become our spiritual home. A home built on sacrifice, a home built on love and triumph. And it is here, on this mountain of God, that we will continue to serve with that same spirit forevermore.